Kwame Okoye had everything, a billion-dollar empire, a name that made Wall Street tremble, enough power to build or destroy lives. But on that cold November night, he made the most dangerous decision of his life. He followed a woman, a humble employee, invisible, the one who cleaned the marble floors of the building he built. Maya Carter never asked for anything, never complained, never looked anyone in the eye. And that was exactly why Kwame got suspicious. He followed her to the Bronx, climbed rusty staircases, peered through a dirty window. And what he saw inside that room changed everything. Because Maya wasn't stealing from his company out of greed, she was being blackmailed. And the man behind it? Someone Kwame knew very well. Now, the African billionaire who overcame racism, poverty, and the American elite faces the most impossible choice of all. Save the empire it took years to build, or save the one person who reminded him what it means to be human. Because sometimes, protecting what truly matters means losing everything. This is the story of a man who held the world in his hands and had to let it go to keep his soul. Monday morning in Manhattan began under the usual gray November sky. Kwame Okoye pushed through the revolving doors of Okoye Tower, the mirrored glass skyscraper that symbolized everything he had built. He was coming straight from a tense meeting in the financial district, 3 hours of investors questioning every decision he made, testing whether he truly deserved to be at the top. Kwame knew the game. A black billionaire makes people uncomfortable. Doesn't matter how many zeros are in the bank account. He stepped into the lobby, jaw clenched, ready to head straight up to his office. But he stopped. Something felt different. The lobby, always spotless, looked even more organized than usual. Plants perfectly aligned, marble floors gleaming without a single mark, paintings leveled to perfection. He paid an entire staff, but this felt like the work of someone who genuinely cared. That's when he saw her, Maya Carter, her back to him, adjusting the lighting on a decorative plant, simple navy blue uniform, natural curls pulled into a low bun. Nothing flashy, nothing that demanded attention. Maybe that was why Kwame had never truly noticed her before, but now he did. Maya turned, caught his gaze, and quickly lowered her head. A polite nod, almost invisible. She went right back to work as if he were just another part of the building. Kwame stepped into the elevator, but he couldn't stop thinking about her. 2 hours later, on the 32nd floor, Kwame was surrounded by papers, cold coffee, and contracts waiting to be signed. He needed to close an $80 million deal before the end of the day, but his mind kept drifting back to the lobby, to her. He picked up the internal phone. "Who's the cleaning employee who works the lobby in the mornings? Navy uniform, hair tied back." 5 minutes later, the answer landed in his inbox. Name, Maya Carter. 32 years old, hired 8 months ago. Perfect attendance, no warnings, no requests for raises or role changes, lives in the Bronx. Kwame reread one line. No requests. That was strange. Everyone asked for something. A raise, a transfer, a promotion. Everyone, except her. On Wednesday, Kwame went down to the lobby in the middle of the afternoon. Official excuse? Checking the new security systems. Truth? He wanted to see her again. Maya was cleaning the reception desk. Precise, efficient movements. She worked like every detail mattered, even if no one ever noticed. Kwame watched from behind a marble column, feeling ridiculous. But there was something about her. Discipline, silence, dignity. He recognized it. It was the posture of someone who had fallen and learned to get back up alone. Someone who didn't ask for help because they knew no one was coming. Someone who worked twice as hard because life never gave discounts. Kwame knew that feeling. He'd felt it years earlier, when he arrived in the United States with a Nigerian diploma no one respected and a bank account at zero. Before becoming Kwame Okoye, the billionaire, he was that immigrant, that African, the one who won't make it. And he did. But Maya? What was she surviving for? Then he saw it. Maya picked up a folder from the desk. As she lifted it, her right hand trembled. She dropped the folder quickly, glanced around, nervous, and shoved her hand into her pocket. Kwame had seen it. A cut. Recent. Deep enough to make her hand shake. And the look on her face wasn't physical pain. It was fear. Something strange rose in Kwame's chest. It wasn't suspicion. It wasn't business curiosity. It was the urge to protect, and that scared him. Because Kwame Okoye didn't protect people. He built empires, closed deals, crushed competitors, feelings. Those had been locked away in mental vaults for years, but Maya Carter had just cracked one open. That night, alone in his empty office, Kwame stared out at the lights of New York. He thought about the trembling hand, the fear in her eyes, the silence that screamed. He didn't know whether to investigate or run, but it was already too late. Something inside him had woken up. On Friday, Kwame arrived at the office early, 6:30 in the morning. The sun was still fighting its way between Manhattan's skyscrapers. He told himself it was to review financial reports before the 9 o'clock meeting. A lie. He wanted to see Maya. He went down to the lobby at exactly 7, pretending to inspect the new LED lighting he'd ordered installed. Maya was there as always, cleaning, organizing, invisible to everyone, except him. Kwame watched from a distance. She worked with the same precision as always, but something was off. Her shoulders were tighter, her eyes avoided the security cameras. Small details most people would ignore. But Kwame Okoye wasn't most people. He'd built an empire by reading people. He knew when someone was lying in a negotiation. He knew when a partner was plotting behind his back. And now, he knew. Maya was hiding something. At 9:15, during a break between meetings, Kwame saw Maya crossing the hallway on the 10th floor. Strange. The cleaning staff rarely went upstairs during business hours. She carried a supply box, but she was moving too fast. Nervous. She entered a file room, stayed less than 2 minutes, and walked out empty-handed. Kwame felt his instincts sharpen. He grabbed his phone and called Marcus, head of building security. "I need you to check the cameras on the 10th floor. File room. Last 15 minutes. "Is there a problem, Mr. Okoye?" "Just check." 20 minutes later, Marcus called back. "Sir, the cameras in that room experienced a technical failure between 9 and 9:15. We're investigating." Kwame hung up slowly. Technical failure. At the exact moment Maya went in. Coincidence? He didn't believe in coincidences. At 2 in the afternoon, Kwame was signing contracts when he saw through the window Maya leaving the building. Too early. Her shift ended at 5. She crossed the street quickly, looking around like she was afraid of being followed. She stopped on the corner, pulled her phone from her pocket. The call lasted less than 30 seconds. Kwame watched her face change, eyes wide, free hand clenching into a fist. Contained panic. Maya hung up, took a deep breath, and went back into the building. 3 minutes later, she was back at work, smiling. Normal, but Kwame had seen the mask slip. That night, alone in his office, Kwame made a decision that went against everything he believed in. He ordered an investigation into Maya Carter. He hired a discreet firm, requested a full report, financial history, criminal record, associations, relationships, everything. 48 hours later, the results came back. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maya Carter was invisible. No significant debts, no lawsuits, no active social media, no visible friends. She lived in a modest apartment in the Bronx, paid rent on time, worked, went home, too clean. Kwame knew this pattern. He'd seen it in corrupt executives, money-laundering businessmen, politicians hiding secrets. When someone was too transparent, they were usually hiding something in the shadows, or someone was erasing her tracks. The following Tuesday, Kwame went down to the lobby at lunchtime. Maya was cleaning the glass doors at the entrance. He approached casually. "Good work," he said, his deep voice echoing through the open space. Maya turned, startled, dropped the cloth, and lowered her head. "Thank you, Mr. Okoye. How long have you worked here?" 8 months, sir." "Do you like the job?" Maya hesitated, just 1 second, but Kwame caught it. "Yes, I do." He gave a small smile. "If you ever need anything, you can speak to me directly." Her eyes met his. For a moment, Kwame saw something there. Fear, gratitude, desperation, all tangled together. Then she looked away. "Thank you, sir, but everything's fine." A lie. Kwame knew it. That night, he made another decision, one that scraped against his ethics, his logic, everything he was proud of being. He was going to follow her, personally. No investigators, no middlemen. He needed to see with his own eyes what Maya was hiding, because this was no longer business suspicion. It was obsession. Kwame grabbed the keys to his black Audi, discreet, not the flashy Bentley, and parked across the street, waiting. At 5:10, Maya left the building. She took the subway at Lexington Avenue Station. Kwame followed, keeping his distance. She got off in the Bronx, walked 3 blocks, entered a bodega, bought something quickly, and kept going. The streets grew darker, less foot traffic, old buildings, graffiti-covered walls, the distant sound of sirens. Maya stopped in front of a red brick building. She looked around. Kwame ducked behind a car and ran up the fire escape. Kwame waited 5 minutes, then climbed up after her, and what he saw on the 3rd floor changed everything. The night was cold, the kind of damp cold that clings to your skin and seeps into your bones. Kwame climbed the fire escape slowly, each metal step creaking under his expensive Italian shoes, completely out of place there. The Bronx at night was another world, far from boardrooms, Michelin-star dinners, and conversations about millions. Here, neon lights blinked in Spanish, the smell of street food mixed with old exhaust fumes, and the silence between passing cars felt thick, heavy. Kwame reached the 3rd floor and crouched near a dirty window. Through the fogged glass, he saw Maya. She was in a small, poorly lit room, peeling walls, worn-out furniture, a bare bulb hanging from the ceiling. 2 other people were there, a skinny white man in a cheap suit, and a Latina woman with black hair and a hard expression. Maya stood with her arms crossed, defensive. The man was talking. Kwame couldn't hear him, but the aggression was clear in his gestures. Maya shook her head, refusing something. The man stepped closer, invaded her personal space. Maya backed up until she hit the wall. Kwame's jaw locked. The instinct to intervene flared, but he held himself back. The Latina woman handed Maya something, a thick brown envelope. Maya took it, opened it, pulled papers out. Documents. Kwame recognized the logo even from a distance. Okoye Corporation. His stomach twisted. Maya flipped through the papers quickly, pulled her phone from her pocket, and started taking photos, page after page, her hands shaking. The man in the suit watched, a crooked smile on his face. When she finished, Maya handed the documents back. The woman gave her a flash drive. Maya slipped it into her jacket pocket. Then she ran out. Kwame went down the stairs before she could see him. Back to the car, heart racing, mind spinning at full speed. Maya Carter was leaking company information, confidential documents, strategies, contracts, all photographed, copied, handed to people who clearly didn't work for him. Kwame should have called Marcus, should have called the police, should have fired her on the spot and sued for breach of contract, intellectual property theft, corporate espionage, but he did none of that, because he'd seen something he couldn't ignore. Her shaking hands, her body pulling back in fear, the panic on her face as she photographed those documents. Maya wasn't there because she wanted to be. She was obeying. And that changed everything. Kwame stayed awake all night, sitting on the leather sofa in his Tribeca apartment, staring out at the panoramic view of the city he'd conquered, lights glowing like promises. But everything felt fake now. He thought about calling his lawyers, the legal department, security, expose Maya, cut the problem at the root, protect the empire it took years to build. But he also thought about her, the way she cleaned the lobby like every detail mattered, the quiet dignity, the fear in her eyes when she took that envelope. Kwame knew fear. He knew desperation. He knew what it felt like to be cornered, with no way out, forced to do something wrong to protect something bigger. He'd come from Nigeria with nothing, faced racism, slammed doors, humiliation. He'd made hard choices, morally gray deals, agreements that dirtied his hands to climb. He wasn't a saint, never had been, but he'd made it because someone at some point believed in him, gave him a chance. Saw past the surface. Did Maya deserve that chance? Or was he being an idiot, letting emotion get in the way of logic? The next morning, Kwame arrived at the office with a plan. He wasn't going to expose Maya. Not yet. He was going to find out who was using her, and why. He called Marcus, the head of security, in for a private meeting. "I need a discreet investigation. Don't involve anyone else. Just you." Marcus frowned. "About what, sir?" "Information leaks. Internal. Someone's using an employee to steal documents." "Who?" Kwame hesitated. "I can't say yet, but I trust you to find out who's behind it. Track external contacts, suspicious financial movements inside the company, anything out of pattern in the last 6 months?" Marcus nodded, serious. "I'll start today." When Marcus left, Kwame looked out the window. Down in the lobby, Maya was cleaning the glass, small, invisible, vulnerable. He felt something he hadn't felt in years, It wasn't superficial attraction, it wasn't physical desire, it wasn't pity, it was identification with the struggle, with the loneliness, with the choice between surviving or dying with dignity. Kwame Okoye had built an empire, but he'd forgotten what it felt like to fear losing everything, Maya reminded him. And now he had to decide, save the empire or save her, because instinctively, he knew he couldn't do both. Kwame waited 3 days. 3 days watching Maya from a distance, studying every movement, every expression. She kept working like always, efficient, silent, invisible, but he saw the weight on her shoulders, the exhaustion no sleep could cure. On Wednesday afternoon, he made the decision. He went down to the lobby at 5:30 when the foot traffic thinned. Maya was putting the cleaning equipment away in the closet near the service elevators. "Maya," he called, firm but not aggressive. She turned, startled, eyes wide. "Mr. Okoye? I need to talk to you, in private." Her face went pale. Kwame saw the panic rise, but she swallowed hard and nodded. "Yes, sir?" They rode up in silence in the private elevator. Maya stared at the floor, hands trembling slightly. Kwame kept his expression neutral, but inside he fought the urge to say everything was okay. It wasn't. In the office, Kwame closed the door and pointed to the chair across from his desk. Maya sat on the edge, back straight, hands clasped in her lap. Kwame didn't sit. He stood, looking out the window, giving her time to process the moment. "I'll be direct," he said, turning around. "I know you're taking documents from the company." Silence. Maya didn't deny it. She just closed her eyes, took a deep breath. When she opened them, there were tears, but she didn't let them fall. "I can explain," she whispered. "Then explain." She looked down at her hands. "I can't." Kwame crossed his arms. "Do you know what happens to employees who steal information? Immediate termination, criminal charges, prison. Your life ends, Maya." She lifted her face, eyes wet but steady. "I know, and I accept it." That disarmed Kwame completely. He'd expected denial, excuses, begging, but Maya accepted the consequences like someone who had already lost everything before. Kwame pulled the chair out and sat across from her, not behind the desk, in front of it, eye to eye. "I'm not trying to destroy you, Maya. I'm trying to understand, because I saw." Her eyes widened. "Saw what?" "I saw you in the Bronx. I saw you being pressured. I saw the fear. You're not doing this because you want to. You're doing it because someone's forcing you. Am I right?" Maya bit her lip. A tear finally escaped. "Please," she whispered. "Don't ask. I can't talk. You can, and you will." Kwame leaned forward. "I built all of this from nothing. I came from Nigeria with nothing. I faced prejudice, betrayal, people trying to destroy me. I survived because I learned how to read people, and I know when someone's fighting alone. You don't have to fight alone, Maya." She shook her head, desperate. "You don't understand. If I talk, someone gets hurt. Someone I love. They'll—" Her voice broke. Kwame waited, gave space, gave time. Maya wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "My brother, Jamal. He's 17. He's trying to get out of the wrong life, study, be someone. But he has debts. Debts to dangerous people." She took a deep breath. "They came to me, said they knew you, knew the company, wanted information, contracts, strategies, investor names, and if I didn't help, Jamal would disappear." Kwame clenched his fists. "Who are they?" "I don't know their real names. I only know the man who meets me. He said he knows people inside Okoye Corporation. Said you have powerful enemies." The words hit Kwame like a punch. Enemies inside the company. He'd always known they existed. Executives who envied his rise, former partners pushed aside, people who smiled to his face and plotted behind his back. But using a humble employee for this, blackmailing someone vulnerable, that was low, even by the dirty standards of the corporate world. Kwame stood up and walked to the window. The city glowed below, indifferent. He'd built all of that, every contract, every brick, every dollar, and now he had to choose. Expose Maya, investigate, protect the empire, or protect her and risk everything. He turned around. "Where's your brother now?" "At a friend's place. Safe, for now." "And the next meeting? When will they contact you again?" "Friday. 2 days from now." Kwame nodded slowly. "You're going to that meeting, but this time you won't be alone." Maya stood up, terrified. "No, if they realize I told someone—" "They won't. Trust me. She looked into his eyes, searching for sincerity, searching for hope. "Why are you doing this? You don't know me. I betrayed you." Kwame took a step forward. The distance between them closed. "Because I see you, Maya, and I know what it's like to carry a weight alone." The silence between them vibrated. It wasn't light romance. It wasn't instant passion. It was recognition. Two people fighting alone, finally seen. Maya nodded, tears flowing freely now. "Thank you." Kwame didn't answer, because he knew that by choosing to protect her, he had just made enemies of the people who had always protected him, and there was no going back. Kwame didn't sleep that night. He stayed in his office until 3 in the morning, laying out a plan. He needed to trace who was behind the blackmail without tipping them off. He needed to protect Maya and her brother, and he needed to do all of it without burning the company down in the process. Thursday morning, he called Marcus in again. "Find anything?" Marcus set a folder on the desk. His face was tight. "Sir, I found unusual activity. Bank transfers to shell companies. Documents accessed after hours using executive IDs. And those executives swear they never logged in. And there's more. Talk to me." 3 board members have had unrecorded meetings over the last few weeks, always at the same restaurant, always without assistants, like they didn't want a paper trail. Kwame felt his blood turn to ice. "Who?" Marcus pointed at the names in the report. Richard Caldwell, CFO. He'd worked with Kwame for 5 years. Linda Zhao, COO. Always efficient, always loyal. Or at least that's what it looked like. And the third name hit like a bullet. Thomas Brennan, Kwame's former partner. The man who helped him lift the company off the ground in the early years. The man Kwame pushed out 3 years ago after discovering he was skimming funds. But Thomas had connections. A wealthy family, political influence, expensive attorneys. Kwame could never prove it in court. He only forced him out, paying a fortune in a quiet settlement. And now, Thomas was back, in the shadows. Kwame closed the folder slowly. "Marcus, this doesn't leave this room. No one can know we found out." "Understood. What do you want me to do?" "Nothing. Not yet. I need hard proof. And I'm getting it tomorrow night." Marcus frowned, but he didn't question him. When he left, Kwame grabbed his phone and called Maya. "Tomorrow, you're going to the meeting like we agreed. I'll be close. But I need you to do something. Put this in your pocket." He showed her a tiny device, an audio recorder and GPS tracker built into a discrete piece the size of a button. "Are they going to search you?" Maya thought. "Sometimes, but never too carefully. Hide it well, inside your waistband, sewn into your jacket lining, anywhere that isn't obvious." She took the device, hands shaking. "And if they find it?" Kwame held her hand, steady, warm. "They won't. I'm not letting anything happen to you." Maya looked into his eyes and, for the first time, she believed him. Friday night. Kwame parked 2 blocks from the building in the Bronx. Earbud connected to the device Maya was carrying. Marcus was in another car, ready to step in if needed. 7:15 p.m. Maya climbed the stairs. Kwame heard everything. Footsteps. A door opening. Voices. "Late," the man in the suit said. "Sorry. Traffic." "You bring what we asked for?" Silence. Kwame pictured Maya handing over the fake flash drive he'd prepared. Empty files. Nonsense code. "It's all here?" "Yes." The Latina woman spoke, her voice rough. "Next week there's an important meeting. Contracts with Asian investors. We need the drafts. Every name. I can't access those drafts. They're restricted." The man laughed. A cruel sound. "Then your little brother's gonna have problems. We had a deal, Maya. You deliver everything or he pays." Kwame heard her breathing speed up. "Please, I'm doing what I can. It's not enough." Another voice entered the room. Male, older, authority. Kwame recognized it instantly. Thomas Brennan. "Maya, sweetheart," Thomas said, his tone condescending. "You've been very useful, but you need to understand, Kwame Okoye is not your friend. He's an arrogant immigrant who stole opportunities from people who actually deserve them. People like me." Kwame clenched his jaw. Thomas continued. "Does he see you? Of course not. You're just another piece in his empire. But to us, you're valuable. Help us take him down, and I guarantee your brother stays safe, and you get enough money to get out of this life." Maya didn't answer. "So?" Thomas pressed. "Next week, contract drafts. Can you get them or not?" "I can," Maya whispered. Kwame cut the audio. He'd heard enough. Marcus looked at him through the rearview mirror. We've got proof. We can take them all down." "No!" Kwame said, voice hard. "Not yet. If we move now, Thomas will weaponize his lawyers, twist the story, and Maya becomes the criminal. I need to expose him in front of the board, in front of everyone." "How?" Kwame smiled. "No humor in it. Monday meeting. I'm calling an emergency board session, and I'm putting every card on the table." Marcus hesitated. "Sir, if you do that, some board members are loyal to Thomas. Others are scared of him. You could lose support. You could lose control of the company." Kwame stared out the window. Maya was leaving the building, walking fast, shaken. He knew the risk. He knew he could lose everything, but for the first time in years, something mattered more than the empire. "Then let them leave," he said. "I'm not letting her pay for this alone." Monday, 9 a.m., conference room on the 40th floor, an oval mahogany table, leather chairs, panoramic view of Manhattan. 12 board members waited, confused. Kwame never called emergency meetings without warning. He walked in, black suit, gray tie, expression unreadable. Marcus followed with a folder. Richard Caldwell and Linda Zhao exchanged nervous looks. "Good morning," Kwame said, steady. "Thank you for coming. I'll be brief." He opened the folder and spread documents across the table. "In recent weeks, I discovered confidential Okoye Corporation information has been leaking. Contracts, strategies, investor names, all being handed to competitors." Murmurs rolled through the room. "At first I suspected external espionage, but the investigation revealed something worse. The leak is coming from inside, from people in this room." Richard lifted his hands. "Kwame, that's insane. Do you have proof?" "I do." Kwame nodded at Marcus, who connected a laptop to the projector. Friday's recording started to play. Thomas Brennan's voice filled the room. "Kwame Okoye is not your friend. He's an arrogant immigrant who stole opportunities from people who actually deserve them." Dead silence. Richard and Linda went pale. "Thomas Brennan," Kwame continued, looking at each board member, "is using vulnerable employees to sabotage me. And he's not alone." He pointed at Richard and Linda. "The two of you met with him 5 times in the last 2 months. You transferred funds to shell companies he controls. You facilitated illegal access to the system." Linda stood up, frantic. "Kwame, I can explain." "Sit down." His voice cut like a blade. Linda sat. Kwame took a breath. "You have 2 options. You resign right now, quietly, and we avoid a public scandal. Or I hand everything to the DA and you face criminal charges. Choose." Richard looked at Linda, then at Kwame. "We resign." Kwame nodded. "Marcus, escort them out. Collect credentials, devices, everything." When they left, the other board members stared at Kwame with a mix of shock and respect. But one of them, Herbert Lawson, a veteran investor, one of the most influential, crossed his arms. "Kwame, you expose traitors. That's admirable. But you also expose the company's weaknesses. The media will find out. The stock will drop. Investors will question your leadership." Kwame held his gaze. "I know. So why do this publicly? You could have handled it quietly." "Because I'm done with quiet. I'm done playing dirty to protect appearances." Herbert laughed, disbelieving. "You're willing to sacrifice the company for idealism." "Not for idealism, for dignity." Kwame swept his eyes across the room. "I built all of this myself. I faced slammed doors, racism, people doubting me every step. I won because I played the game. But today I realized something. If keeping the empire means destroying innocent people, then the empire isn't worth a damn." Herbert shook his head. "You're making a mistake, and I'm pulling out." He stood and walked out. 2 other board members followed. Kwame didn't try to stop them. 2 hours later, Kwame was alone in his office when Maya knocked on the door. "Come in." She stepped in slowly, eyes red. She'd heard everything. "You lost board members. You lost support. Because of me." Kwame stood. "It wasn't because of you. It was because of me. Because I finally did the right thing." "But your empire, it'll survive, or it won't. Either way, I'm going to be okay." Maya shook her head, tears falling. "My brother is safe. The police arrested the people who were blackmailing me yesterday. Thomas Brennan is under investigation. I'm free." She looked at him. "But now what? What happens to me?" Kwame took a step closer. "You can stay here, or you can leave and start over. I'll support you financially. Recommendation letters, whatever you need. And you? What are you going to do?" Kwame smiled. For the first time in weeks, a real smile. I'm going to rebuild, but this time, the right way. No dirty games, no sacrificing people. Maya moved closer, looked into his eyes. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for reminding me what matters. The space between them hummed. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, no passionate kiss in the rain. It was something rarer. Respect, recognition. Two people who survived by choosing dignity. 3 months later, Okoye Corporation stock was down 18%. 6 investors pulled out. The media questioned Kwame's leadership, but he didn't break. He restructured the company around transparency, created support programs for vulnerable employees, cut off shady partnerships, and slowly, the market responded. New investors came in, investors who valued ethics. The company wasn't the biggest anymore, but it was solid, real. Maya went back to school, business administration. Kwame paid her tuition, not as charity, as an investment in potential. They didn't become a couple. That wasn't the story. But they stayed connected. Two people who saved each other by choosing humanity over empire. Kwame was in his office, staring out at the city through the window, when Marcus walked in. Sir, the meeting with the new investors is at 3. I'll be ready. Marcus hesitated. Can I ask you something? Of course. Was it worth it? Losing so much? Kwame thought for a moment. Then he smiled. I didn't lose anything, Marcus. I gained something money can't buy. What? Peace. Power can buy silence, but it can't buy courage. And sometimes, the only way forward is to stop protecting the empire and start protecting what's human.